primary day is so much better than the general election, Joe.
You are truly in mid-season form today.
Of course I'm in mid-season form. This is the game, baby.
Mid-season
this is
election form.
This is it. I know people are going, well, there was the primaries. I don't have to go to the primaries.
It's like the preseason.
No,
whereas
it is
the
not.
general is the Super Bowl.
It is not.
No.
It is much bigger deal. I don't want you to think of it that way. I don't want you to think of it like this is the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to think of this more like the playoffs. Playoffs?
Why are you so excited about the primaries today?
Let's continue using our sports analogy, shall we?
So the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. NFL. Mm-hmm. Which conference is better? Not your personal feelings. I want you to objectively, the AFC or the NFC.
Well,
which conference is better?
That's a tough question. The AFC has won the last couple Super Bowls from the Kansas City Chiefs, but some people sit there and look at the NFC and say they've got three really tough teams.
Don't equivocate, Joe. I don't want to hear about three really tough teams. I want to know which conference is better.
I'll say the AFC.
Of course the AFC is better. Because the middle of the AFC is way better than the middle of the NFC. The AFC is dominant, right? If you're not familiar with the AFC, for you non-sports fans, that's okay. The Chiefs, as Joe talked about.
Super Bowl champion the last 2 years.
Patriots. Granted, not so great here in the last 4 or 5.
Bengals?
Bills, Bengals, Ravens are incredible. And then you've got teams that are coming on really strong. Like
Dolphins.
Dolphins, Chargers, Texans. Don't count these teams out either, right?
True.
These are all great teams. The NFC, that's the one the Cardinals are in. Well, yeah, they've got some good teams, right? They've got...
Niners, Lions.
Tom Brady's Bucks. A few years back.
Eagles, a couple years ago, went to a Super Bowl. Could be on the come up again.
Wait a minute. Went to a Super Bowl is different, right? Went to a Super Bowl is like winning the primary in an uncontested race. All right. Now we're getting to it. So I want you to think about this. The average NFC team is well below the average AFC team. Well below. Which means... take your average AFC team, like the Bengals.
Oh, you think they're average? Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay. I'll
Steelers.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Steelers.
And put them up against an average NFC team like the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the AFC team every time.
I would give you that in that matchup.
That's exactly right. So the big game gets all the attention. The Super Bowl gets all the attention. Like you said, the Eagles made it to a Super Bowl. Yippity-skippity.
Even people who don't care about the game itself still want to watch the Super Bowl.
But is that the best game?
Usually not.
Usually not. Now you're getting to it. The big game gets the attention. But if you're an odds maker, an insider, a super fan, whatever, you know that the AFC Championship is going to be the heavy favorite going into the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the championships, baby. This is it. Forget about November. Forget about that. CD8 is not going to be exciting in November. CD3 is not going to be exciting in November. These congressional districts where you've got these partisan runoffs, they're not going to be exciting come November. The excitement is today. This is the day you need to get jazzed about. Because in many cases, once you win your primary, you're not competing against anybody. Or once you win your primary, you're not competing against anybody that stands a chance. Now, maybe that's because you're in a district that is so heavily favored to your party preference. Maybe that's because you're in a district where the opponent is broke, can't get any donations. Whatever it is, today is the championship game, baby. It's not the Super Bowl. That's November. And granted, the Super Bowl is going to be great come November when it comes to the presidential race. Maybe when it comes to the senatorial campaign, Gallego versus Lake or Lamb, probably Lake, but could be either one of them. That's going to be exciting. Mm-hmm. That's going to be worth paying attention to. But as far as these other races, what? The excitement is today, Joe.
Chris.
What happens to Blake Masters or Abe Hamadeh if they lose? One of them is not going to win, at least. At least one of them. Potentially both of them could lose.
Well, they both got Trump's endorsement, so maybe they could share it, and they could be the first ever two-headed monster to serve in Congress.
And this is where I saw an ad today for Toma, who's running in CD8, and Toma's trying to sneak in there and be the guy that splits the vote. But what happens to their entire political careers if they don't win?
They're done.
I mean,
At least for a couple of years.
you couldn't win the statewide race, and now you're trying to win in a heavily Republican district, and you're not doing anything. What happens?
You're on ice.
You're on ice. You're hitting the backbench, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. It's one of the big reasons that the primary election is better than the general election. The races are, in many cases, for all the marbles, because of the way that we've set up the system. This is what it is. I also thought about this, and we mentioned it briefly during Jim Sharp's election special here. If you're a voter in Congressional District 8, this is the one with Abe Hamadeh, Blake Masters, Toma, the others,
Anthony
right?
Kern, Trent Franks.
Right, yeah. Some pretty well-known names in state politics if you pay attention to
Some for good reasons, some for not so much.
Not so much, right. Okay. This gives you an opportunity to understand how you fit in as an individual in the pack.
What do you mean by that?
Okay.
How I as a voter fit in, or as how I as a candidate fit in?
How you as a voter, as an individual, fit in. Where are you in the pack? The party is the pack, right? And whoever wins in Congressional District 8 is going to get the support of voters that didn't vote for them in the primary, but they will say, that's my candidate. I'm a Republican. I'm going to vote Republican in this district, right?
Yeah, you tell me why I should feel good as an independent where I have to request a ballot.
You don't have to feel good.
And I only get the red side or the blue side.
You're not going to feel good about that at all. Your host. This is why the proposition that allows us to change that entire system is going to be important come November, which, by the way, I'm sure come November we're going to do a show about why the general election is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But you'll have forgotten about this show by the time that rolls around. So here's the deal, though. Who am I? Well, some people will say, I'm a Republican. I'm a parent. I'm a husband. I'm a whatever it is, right?
Okay.
But what kind of a Republican are you? Are you an Anthony Kern Republican? Are you a Trent Franks Republican? Are you a Ben Toma Republican? Are you establishment? Are you MAGA? And if you're MAGA, then you have to go, why am I voting for Hamadeh versus Masters? And it gives you an opportunity to do a little self-discovery. Because these guys are all running under that same moniker, but they have to differentiate themselves somehow to appeal to you. So what is it that appeals to you? And this is a great opportunity for you, a little psychological exercise here, to go, I think I agree with that person. Why? Why do I agree with that person? For some people, they're going to vote for the person that they think is going to win simply because, as an individual, they want to feel like they're part of the most popular sect within that pack. That pack, excuse me.
I like where you're going with this. My challenge as a voter is I feel more malleable with my position on things. I don't feel like I look at one candidate and I don't feel like, to your point, they're identifiable.
Yep.
You know, Blake Masters, you know what he stands for. Abe Hamadeh, you know what he stands for. Anthony Kern, you can put them in boxes.
Yeah.
Me as a voter, I don't feel like I fit in any one box. So it's tough for me to align with their boxes.
But
how do I
introspection
work through that?
That's it. That's why it's great, because you have to work through that. So you go, well, listen, I don't care for Blake Masters and what he said here. I didn't like Abe Hamadeh there. Toma is a rhino. I don't like him. Anthony Kern is nuts. I don't like him. Trent Franks, I want to carry his baby. Whatever it is that you're doing, right? These are all opportunities for you to say, this is where I agree, this is where I disagree, and then what is important to you. This is the journey of self-discovery that the primaries give us. We don't have this journey of self-discovery when it comes to the general election. We only get to use the primaries as that opportunity to reflect on what's important to me right now. You're not flame throwing. You're not telling your neighbors how stupid they are for not agreeing with you. Whatever we do between now and November is not what we're doing today.
You dug more into the election itself and how excited, how wee-weed up you are about it.
I am, of course.
To me, it was more about some of the peripheral things. Like, I'm more excited about the fact that if I want to go to the polls today, shorter lines. I don't have to sit there.
Love that.
In the general election line and deal with 20 people in front of me who want to vote who don't know what the heck they're doing. I've got maybe like one person. Fewer votes, less chance for fraud.
Okay, yeah.
And the third one that I came up with also was I feel like, and I think you'll fight me on this one, but I feel like there's less anger and rage when it comes to the primary.
I wholly agree with you.
Dang it.
Yeah, I know.
I thought, come on, you're supposed to. No, because I feel like in the primary, even if you don't get your gal or guy through, you're like, well, you know what? At least somebody from my side is still there,
You got a
and I can
consolation
vote
prize.
for him in the general.
Love that.
It's less divisive to me, and I'm not about the divisiveness. I'm about the, hey, when they get elected, whether that be to the state house here or whether that be to D.C., they're working for all of us. I want them to work for all of us. I don't want them to work for just a sect of the population.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.